Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Ghanaian Assistant and the Kpop Idol. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from. Now, let's dive in. The morning light streamed into Jane's small apartment as she stretched and prepared for the long day ahead. Today's itinerary was packed: dance rehearsals, a fan meeting, and a live interview. She mentally braced herself for what was sure to be another round of Joo Seokjin's sharp remarks and demanding demeanor. Dressed in a crisp white blouse, tailored black trousers, and low heels, Jane pulled her hair into a neat ponytail. She checked her planner one last time before heading out. The memory of Seokjin's cold attitude from the previous day was still fresh, but she was determined to prove herself. At the Star One Entertainment building, Jane arrived early to prepare. As she entered Seokjin's private lounge, she found him sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He was dressed casually but stylishly, wearing a beige, oversized hoodie and black joggers. "You're late," he said without looking up. Jane glanced at the clock. "I'm actually 20 minutes early." He finally looked at her, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. "Then you're 20 minutes late by my standards. Let's go." Biting her tongue, Jane handed him his iced Americano and followed him out the door. The dance studio was alive with energy as backup dancers stretched and choreographers reviewed steps. The booming bass of a K-pop track filled the air. Seokjin moved to the center of the room, his posture exuding effortless confidence. Jane stood by the corner, watching as he launched into the choreography. His movements were sharp and precise, his charisma impossible to ignore. Despite his icy demeanor, he was undeniably talented. During a break, he grabbed a towel and a bottle of water, glancing at Jane. "Make yourself useful, and check on the fan meeting setup." "It's already done," Jane replied, keeping her tone neutral. His eyes narrowed slightly before he turned back to the choreographer. By the afternoon, they arrived at the fan meeting venue. Jane's stomach tightened as she saw the sea of fans gathered outside, waving signs, banners, and light sticks. The deafening cheers as Seokjin's car pulled up were overwhelming. Backstage, Seokjin sat in front of a vanity mirror while his stylist fussed over his outfit: a black leather jacket, white shirt, and ripped skinny jeans. His expression was impassive, but his eyes flicked to Jane as she handed him his schedule for the event. "Stick to the plan," he said. "No surprises." "Of course," Jane replied. When he stepped on stage, the crowd erupted into wild screams. Jane watched from backstage as he waved, his expression transforming into the radiant smile his fans adored. The event unfolded with ease. Fans asked questions, participated in games, and shared heartfelt moments. Seokjin's interactions with them were smooth and polished, a stark contrast to his backstage persona. The fan meeting ended with roaring applause and the echo of Seokjin's charming farewell. Backstage, the energy shifted. Seokjin's radiant onstage smile disappeared, replaced by his usual cool demeanor. He sank into a chair, exhaling deeply as the stylist hurried to remove his jacket and fix his slightly mussed hair. Jane approached cautiously, holding a cold bottle of water. "Here," she said, handing it to him. He took it without a word, unscrewing the cap and taking a sip. The faint sheen of sweat on his forehead glistened under the dressing room lights. "You should take a break before the interview," Jane suggested, her voice careful. Seokjin's eyes flicked to her, his expression unreadable. "Do I look like I need your advice?" Jane bit back a retort, keeping her composure. "No," she said simply, stepping back to give him space. The tension hung in the air for a moment before he stood, rolling his shoulders. "Let's go. I don't like being late." Jane nodded, trailing behind him as they headed toward the car waiting outside. The glow of the city lights bathed the streets in a surreal vibrance, the noise of traffic filling the night. As Seokjin settled into the back seat, Jane checked her notes, ensuring every detail for the live interview was in order. Though he was difficult, his relentless drive and professionalism were clear. The live interview was held in a sleek, brightly lit studio. Jane stood near the back of the set, coordinating with the production team to ensure everything ran smoothly. Seokjin was in his element, answering the host's questions with practiced ease. When asked about his upcoming album, he leaned forward, flashing his trademark grin. "I've poured my heart into this project. I think the fans will love it." Jane couldn't help but admire his charisma. In moments like these, it was easy to see why he was a global sensation. By the time they returned to the company, it was late. Jane was exhausted but determined to finish her notes for the next day. As Seokjin headed to his lounge, he paused and glanced back at her. "You didn't mess up today," he said casually. Jane blinked, caught off guard. Thanks, I guess. Don't get used to it, he added before disappearing into his lounge. Right after she left the doorway of the lounge and stood in front of the company's building, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and immediately knew who it was. Taemin, her Korean friend who was also working at the company, texted. The message read, "Let's meet for dinner. My treat, jjajangmyeon." Jane met Taemin at a cozy restaurant tucked away in a quiet alley. Taemin, a South Korean who worked in a different department at Star One Entertainment, had become Jane's closest friend in Seoul. They had hit it off during orientation and quickly built a strong bond despite their different backgrounds. "All right, spill," Taemin said as they dug into their bowls of jjajangmyeon. "What's it really like working with the great Joo Seokjin?" Jane sighed, twirling her noodles. "He's incredibly talented, I won't deny that. But he's complicated. Difficult, even." Taemin smirked knowingly. "Sounds like him. Word around the company is that he's a perfectionist, but I didn't know it extended to being a pain to his assistant too." Jane chuckled. "You have no idea. He has this knack for making me feel like I'm always one step behind, even when I'm ahead." "Don't let him get to you," Taemin said, his tone firm but kind. "You're doing amazing, Jane. You wouldn't be here if you weren't capable. He's lucky to have you as his assistant." "Thanks, Taemin," Jane said, her mood lifting. "Sometimes I forget that." Taemin raised his glass with a grin. "Here's to surviving the madness of this industry, and to chasing our dreams." They laughed, sharing stories about work and life in Seoul. For the first time in days, Jane felt a sense of relief, reminded that she wasn't navigating this journey alone. Working with Joo Seokjin was anything but easy, but moments like these reassured Jane that she had allies. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but with friends like Taemin by her side, she felt she can face them. Thanks for watching this episode. Don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts. See you in the next episode.